Today I'm going to talk about the Beyond the Stellar Horizon quest reshoots, also known as Final Rehearsals. The mission is in the Ventures zone, as you can see, so the level of the mission depends on your progress through Ventures. You can choose from any of the 3 levels that are visible to you. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to go for the easiest one for me, which is currently power level 94. The rewards are slightly different for the Ventures element of it, but the final main reward for it is the same regardless of which level mission you do. And as I'm going to be doing this solo, I'm going to make it slightly easier for myself. This is a defense type mission, so I'm going to use the Ice King in the lead for Frozen Castle. I've got Slow Your Roll for my team perk, and then I've got MegaBASE, Power Modulation and Lofty Architecture to buff my buildings, Cupid's Arrow because I'm going to be mostly using a bow whilst in the mission, and Survivalist to keep me healed up. Then I've got Banner so that I can respawn, and Slow Field in case things start going wrong.
Head to the movie set to get ready for filming. I marked the location of the set on your map.
So as you can see from the mini-map on the top, you have to run over towards this exclamation mark, and this is the same building that you've come to earlier in the quest line.
All the glitz and glamour of Plankywood.
And this is going to use quite a lot of resources, so I'm just going to clear down a lot of the stuff that's around just to give it a nice flat surface to build on. As you can see, these rocks aren't actually rocks, they're made of metal. I'm just going to speed this up a bit because it takes a while, just clearing out all of the husks and terrain that's in here. Okay, so there are 3 cameras to defend, sorry, 3 cameras and a C-bot. The camera up here, if you destroy that floor, even if the camera has not yet been placed, the camera will count as being destroyed. You only need to keep 1 camera and the C-bot from being destroyed in order to complete the mission, but if you want to complete it without anything being destroyed, you need to make sure you protect the one above. Now it's only on a wooden surface, but I'm going to replace all of these walls with edited walls so that it doesn't get targeted by smashers and propanes. Once you've placed all 3 cameras and found the C-bot, then you get a 4 to 5 minute countdown to actually build, but until you've placed them down you've got as much time as you want, so I'm going to use the time to get ahead with the building. Now you want to destroy these kind of stairs and things like that because otherwise husks can climb up those and will walk across and destroy the cameras. And because of the Ventures season, I don't have any energy to use Bull Rush to destroy any of these buildings, so I have to sit here and manually bash them down. So I'm using walls with doors in them because they don't get targeted by smashers and lobbers. But I'm also making sure that I'm clearing out structures that are above as well. I don't want the husks to come in from the top. In this mission there are a huge number of lobbers, flingers, blasters, basically lots of stuff with ranged attacks, so it's quite sort of tricky to survive. So I've just built on top here a simple floor. Just breaking some of these surrounding walls. His legs underneath shouldn't get targeted, but I just want to make sure that if a propane does decide to blow its tank up, it doesn't destroy the legs. Okay, so this wall here will actually get destroyed once the mission starts, because the cameras need to have a good view of Seabot at all times, so you can't block in all 4 walls. And even if you build the walls and you put traps on them and everything else, as soon as the mission timer starts, they will just get destroyed. So you need to account for that. So up here I'm going to use some anti-air traps. These ones are double damage, double reload, heal to build attached. They don't need to be double damage. Mine are double damage because I use them in Twine Peaks. But you can use double range ones if you like. They're primarily there to destroy the lobber projectiles rather than any husks that might get thrown up. Okay, so that's that one. You can see there's the other 2 cameras, and you can see the Seabot as well. So I'm going to box in Seabot at the moment. One of those walls will get destroyed. And in the meantime, I'm just going to clear out some of this other environmental structures so that I can place my own floors, etc. down, and also recover some of the resources, because this is going to be quite an expensive build as I'm playing it solo. And the reason I've built in brick is because all of the husks that I've encountered so far have been nature husks, and nature husks do double damage to metal, but I'm using metal in the structures above because the husks won't be able to get to those structures above as easily, so they won't take as much damage. Okay, so that camera lens needs to point straight to where the Seabot is, so I can't build in front of it because that will just get destroyed. But what I can do is I can build kind of a little passageway through to force the husks to walk around. Now, husk pathing will allow you to push them a certain amount off the most direct path, but if you try and make them go too far, they will just bash their way through the wall. So what I'm going to do is try and encourage them to walk around a certain distance, damaging them and slowing them as I go, and hopefully then none of them will make it through. I'm just literally upgrading all of the walls here. Now I'm placing ceiling tiles above and bashing down the structures. There we go. So yeah, to the northwest and the southeast is where the husks will spawn from. Their spawn points don't move. And I'm just placing floors down again. I know it's nature husks, but they won't be hitting the floors, so I don't need to worry about building them out of metal. And as you can see, there's far more metal around than brick, so it makes sense to build out of the resource that I have spares of. So all the way around here I am just using walls with doors in and flat floors. I'm not using any ramps, I'm not using any cones. The only time I'm using ramps or cones is to climb up places, and then I'm removing them once I'm done with them. Okay, so now I'm going to start placing down floor freeze traps. If you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know exactly what floor freeze traps these are. These are power level, I'm not sure whether these are 77 or 106, possibly 106 because of where I am in Ventures, but they are double reload, double durability and effect duration, and what that means is once a husk gets frozen by one, it should stay frozen on it. And then I'm using ceiling drop traps, which are double reload, double durability, and that means that they will just keep pushing the husks back. You can use lower level ones. They're not there to damage the husks, they're there purely to push the husks away. And they will do some damage and some husks will get killed, but for the most part the husks will despawn before they're killed. So I've placed my base down now, and because I've used MegaBASE, it's now covering absolutely every structure that is likely to get hit by husks. So I'm now at the point where I'm ready to put down the last 2 cameras, which will then trigger the countdown for the husks coming.
That's the last camera. You know, once we get rolling, husks are gonna try to bust in. They're so hungry for the spotlight. Keep at least 1 camera and CG bot safe so we can get the shot.
Okay, so as you can see, that wall has now been destroyed because the mission countdown has started. A 4-minute timer, and if I try and place a wall here, you can see it just gets destroyed because the camera needs to have a view of C-bot, even though C-bot is inside a box. So I can't place a camera to a wall to that side either. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this path slightly longer so that any husks that want to come and damage that are going to get stuck. So you can see it's 106 drop traps and 77 floor freeze traps, and you can hear the floor freeze traps are already getting some use. I'm just going to upgrade these walls. So the husks will walk around that wall because they will find it a quicker path to walk around that one wall than they will to smash their way through. And that's kind of how the husk pathing logic works. If it's going to take the husk longer to break through, it will walk around. Which is why you can make husks walk 2 or 3 tiles off their main path, but any more than that and they will bash their way through. Obviously you can influence that more or less by upgrading your material, using the strongest materials you have, putting on additional builds, health, traps or base. But generally speaking, if you try and push the husks more than 2 or 3 tiles away, they're just going to bash their way through. Now, because I've played this mission before, I know there are going to be huge volumes, as I've mentioned, of lobbers, flingers, propanes, pitchers and everything else. So I'm just going to put some more anti-air traps down. Now, anti-air traps use exactly the same materials whether you're crafting one at level 12 or power level 144. So you might as well just craft the highest level you've got, even though, because this is a power level 94 mission, my 139 anti-air traps will be capped, I think, at about power level 116. And the same goes for the 144 drop traps. If I've used those, they will again be capped at 116. So anything above 116 is going to get capped. Okay, so you can see the tendrils just there to the northwest. That's where a load of husks are going to spawn, and they are going to make their way towards the camera and the C-bot and try and break their way in. So most of them will come through the front, some of them will work their way around the side, and then in the opposite corner there are also some husk tendrils. So I'm pretty happy with everything that's been built now. I've got the floor freeze traps in, I've got the tire traps in, so any husks that walk in will get frozen and then pushed away. I'm going to put some damaging traps up here, only level 77, and this is just to dissuade any flingers and lobbers that decide to come and stand under here. They won't stand still in a place where they're getting damaged, so that would just stop them congregating there. Now I'm not going to box in my base, because if I box in the base, that's going to try and force the husks to walk a bit further, and potentially they will just bash their way through a nearer wall. And now we go for the defense. Okay, so you can already hear the flingers making a noise. see, there are lots and lots of lobbers. And unfortunately, even though all the husks before were nature husks, the ones that are spawned for the defense are water. So obviously I wouldn't recommend building out of brick when you've got water husks, because brick gets double damage, but because I didn't know it was going to be water husks, I used brick. Should be okay in this situation though, because the floor freeze traps coupled with Ice King's team perk and the drop traps mean husks will get pushed away a lot before they can do too much damage. Water husks of course have the slowing effect as well. So as you can see, a lot of these traps are getting destroyed, so the husks are standing out of the range of the traps and throwing projectiles in which are damaging traps, which means the husks that are on foot are able to do more. Also seems to be a lot of takers around, and this is why I've used banner, because it means I can respawn back in the middle and get straight back on. You can see there's a lot of flingers and lobbers congregating in one place. So what I want to try and do is get over there and put some traps down to prevent them congregating. Even if they don't kill them, just having something that damages them means that they won't stand in that position. So they're all gathering, as you can see, into a big group there, and they will just overwhelm the anti-air traps that I've put down. As you can see, a lot of those traps have been destroyed by the flingers, so probably want to put down a few more anti-air traps. Taking a bit of damage to camera A, which is the one that's up on the top. Again, being hit by that slowing effect just makes it that little bit more difficult to do anything. You can see a lot of projectiles being thrown, all hitting those ceilings there. So about halfway through the defense now, and camera A's taken a bit of damage, but not too much to worry about at this point in time. Remember, to complete the mission you need the CG bot and one camera to survive. You get better rewards obviously if you've got all of the cameras. See, there's zappers, there's blasters, there's takers, there's pitchers, there's lobbers, there's flingers. The only thing that I haven't seen are smashers and propanes. Camera A's at about 80%, camera B's taken a little bit of damage. Camera B and camera C are the ones that I would expect to take the most damage. They're the ones that are on the ground and they have literally an open door to get to them. but they seem to have held up pretty well. The husks that are trying to get to them are hitting the floor freeze traps, remembering that you want to orient your floor freeze traps and your ceiling drop traps with your back in the direction you want the husks to be pushed. So in every case I am pushing the husks away from where they want to go. So they appear to be getting slowed sufficiently that they're not making it all the way around. And we're into the last 5 to 10 seconds. And there we go. That is how to complete the Reshoots mission. As you can see on the top of the screen it says Final Rehearsal, but it's the same thing. Thank you for watching.